The glass walls of the boardroom are too clean, too transparent. They make everything look staged, like my life these past 5 years. From the 32nd floor, the city sprawls below in shades of steel and concrete, sunlight bouncing off windows like 1,000 unsent messages. I adjust my tie, charcoal silk, straight as a scalpel. The quarterly strategy meeting is usually predictable, the one place in my calendar where there are no surprises. In my world, predictability means control. And control is the only thing that's kept me sane since the day my marriage ended. David, my CFO, and the only person I trust in this building, is already at the table flipping through a thick report. He catches my eye, gives the slightest nod, his way of saying everything's in order. I take my seat at the head of the table, fingers curling around the leather armrest. The hum of the air conditioner fills the silence as the board members shuffle papers and sip espresso from delicate white cups. Adrian West strolls in late, as usual, all easy smiles and tailored arrogance. He slides into the chair opposite mine like he owns it. Once, years ago, he was my best friend. Now he's a necessary evil, a reminder that in business, sometimes the knives in your back have fingerprints you recognize. "Morning, Ethan," he says, voice smooth enough to slip a blade between ribs. "I've brought someone special to introduce." The door swings open, and for a moment, my chest forgets how to move. Emma Lawson steps in. The room shifts. My breathing turns deliberate. She hasn't changed much, still the same dark hair pulled into a sleek knot, still the same deliberate poise that makes her look untouchable. The only difference is in her eyes. They're guarded now, their warmth replaced by something measured, cautious. Adrian's grin widens. This is Emma Lawson, our new external marketing consultant. She'll be spearheading the rebranding initiative for our Asia-Pacific launch. She's standing less than 10 feet away, but it feels like an ocean. I haven't seen her in 5 years, not since the morning she walked out without a word, leaving divorce papers on my desk like a post-it note. "Mr. Cole," she says. Her voice is steady, formal. No trace of the woman who once whispered my name in the dark. The board members murmur greetings. I say nothing for a beat too long, then, "Ms. Lawson." My tone is clipped enough to frost glass. She takes the seat next to Adrian, who leans in just enough to whisper something. She doesn't laugh, but the corner of her mouth tilts as if to humor him. It's a small, calculated movement, but it lands like a punch. The meeting begins. Numbers, projections, market analysis, it all blurs into background noise. My attention is split between the slides on the wall and the woman delivering them. She's brilliant, as always. Her voice moves with precision through consumer trends and brand positioning, but my mind drags me back to late nights at our kitchen table, her laptop glowing, her hair spilling over one shoulder while she typed campaigns that could charm ice into water. Halfway through, I cut in. "What's your projected ROI on digital conversion rates if we shift launch to Q1 instead of Q3? Her gaze meets mine. Steady. We'd see a 15% increase in initial engagement, but a potential 5% loss in retention without the brand familiarity that the extra months would give us. I recommend Q3 if you want sustainability. No stutter. No flicker. Just clean, efficient logic." She moves on as if I'm just another executive in the room. The rest of the board eats it up. Adrian beams like a proud patron. By the time the presentation wraps, the temperature in my chest has dropped below freezing. I thank everyone for their time, adjourn the meeting, and force myself not to watch her walk out. Adrian lingers, tapping his pen against the table. "You should have told me she was coming back," I said quietly. His smirk is the kind that makes you want to break things. "And ruin the surprise? Where's the fun in that?" I don't rise to the bait. Not here, not with the glass walls watching. I stand, gather my notes, and let him leave first. When the boardroom empties, I step into the corridor, the muted carpet swallowing my footsteps. I'm halfway to the elevator when I hear her voice. Around the corner, Emma is leaning against the wall, phone pressed to her ear. "Hi, sweetheart," she says, her tone warmer than it's been all morning. "I'll be home soon. Did you finish your star drawing for mommy?" Stars. The word hits me harder than her sudden reappearance. I know what she says, when she's distracted, when she's lying, when she's in love. And right now, she's not acting for anyone. She's speaking to someone she loves. A child's muffled voice answers from the other end, too soft to make out the words. Emma laughs gently. "That's beautiful, baby. I can't wait to see it. Yes, we'll read the moon book tonight." Her free hand lifts to brush a strand of hair behind her ear. It's the same hand that once wore my ring. My mind starts calculating without permission. 5 years since the divorce. 5 years since I last saw her. The child's voice sounded young, maybe 4, maybe 5. Her gaze flicks up and she spots me. For a split second, her expression falters, but she recovers fast. I have to go, she says into the phone. Love you, Sophie. Sophie. She hangs up, pushes off the wall, and walks toward the elevator without a word. I stand frozen, the pieces snapping together with painful clarity. 5 years. A daughter. Mine. The elevator doors close around her, taking with them the life I should have known about, the years I can never get back. I slide my hands into my pockets, but it's not to look casual. It's to hide the way they've curled into fists. I will get answers. I will know her name, her face, her every detail. And I will not let Emma, or Adrian, keep her from me. No matter the cost. The drive back to my penthouse is a blur of tail lights and unanswered questions. The city roars around me, but inside the car, there's only the quiet thud of my pulse. I've faced hostile takeovers, billion-dollar negotiations, and boardroom ambushes, but nothing prepared me for the sight of Emma holding a phone to her ear and calling a little girl, sweetheart. Sophie. The name keeps repeating in my head, a single drop of water falling into an ocean, rippling out until it touches everything. When the elevator deposits me into my penthouse, the lights flicker on automatically, bathing the space in sterile white. Floor-to-ceiling windows open onto a panoramic view of the city, every building a monument to ambition. It's beautiful, in the same way marble is beautiful, cold, polished, and incapable of warmth. I toss my jacket onto the back of a chair and loosen my tie, but the tension stays lodged in my chest. My phone sits on the kitchen counter, screen dark. I half expect a call, an explanation, an apology, something, but it stays silent. I pour myself 2 fingers of scotch, the kind I usually save for victories, and drop into the leather armchair near the window. Outside, the streets pulse with life. Inside, my mind drags me back 5 years, to when everything started to fracture. We were in my old apartment, smaller than the penthouse but alive in a way this place never has been. Emma was perched on the couch, laptop balanced on her knees, hair loose around her shoulders. She was editing a marketing pitch for a luxury travel brand, and I was at the kitchen table finalizing numbers for a merger. The air smelled faintly of coffee and rain. You know, she said without looking up, if we ever start our own firm, I'm putting you in charge of spreadsheets and coffee runs. I smirked, scribbling a note in the margin. If we start our own firm, I'm naming it after you. Lawson Strategies. Sounds sharp. She glanced over her screen, smiling the way she did when she thought I was ridiculous but sweet. You're impossible. I walked over, dropped a kiss on her hair, and said the thing I always believed, we're going to build something together. Not just a business, a life. Back then, that life was the only thing I wanted. My grandmother used to say, money builds walls. Family tears them down. She'd grown up with nothing, and still, her table was always open, her hands always busy making something for someone else. She taught me that a legacy wasn't measured in assets, but in the people who carried your name and your love after you were gone. Emma knew that about me, that behind the ambition and the deals was a man who wanted Sunday dinners, messy holiday mornings, and a home that felt full. And then came the scandal. It started with an anonymous tip to the press, claims of financial misconduct, embezzlement buried in the quarterly reports. Overnight, my name was dragged through every news outlet in the country. Stock prices dipped, investors panicked. Adrian was the first to step in to handle damage control, smiling in front of cameras, calling himself my friend while subtly planting doubts about my judgment. Emma tried to stand by me. I could see it in the way she sat through interviews, held my hand in courtrooms. But every day, a little more of her faith slipped away. One night, she stood by the kitchen window, arms wrapped around herself. What if they're right? She asked softly. They're not. My voice was too sharp, my patience already frayed from fighting on all fronts. She didn't argue, but the silence that followed felt heavier than words. The morning she left was quiet. I woke to the smell of her perfume lingering in the air, sunlight spilling across the bed. Her side was cold. On the nightstand was her wedding ring, a note that said nothing except, I'm sorry, and an envelope with signed divorce papers. No explanation. No fight. Just gone. I tried to find her. I threw money at investigators, chased whispers of her in other cities, but it was as if she'd vanished. Adrian told me once, with a hint of satisfaction, sometimes people just decide they're better off without you. I should have known then. The sound of a car horn below jerks me back to the present. My glass is empty. I set it down a little too hard, the ice clinking against the crystal. 5 years. That's exactly Sophie's likely age. I pick up my phone and call David. He answers on the second ring, his voice calm as ever. Working late, he asks. I need you to run a background check, I say, skipping pleasantries. Emma Lawson. Where she's been for the last 5 years. Every address, every job, every hospital record. And find out everything you can about a girl named Sophie. There's a pause. Sophie. She's Emma's daughter. 5 years old, maybe a little younger. I don't say the rest, that she's almost certainly mine. David's voice tightens. You think Adrian knows? I know he knows. Another pause, this one heavier. All right, I'll keep it quiet. Do more than that, I say. Make it invisible. Understood. He hangs up. I stand, restless, and step out onto the balcony. The night air is cool against my skin, carrying the distant scent of rain. Below, the city moves, taxis weaving through traffic, strangers crossing streets, lives intersecting for moments and moving on. Somewhere out there, my daughter is going to bed, maybe hugging a stuffed animal, maybe looking at the stars she drew for her mother. And I wasn't there for any of it. The thought cuts deeper than the divorce ever did. Losing Emma hurt, but losing years with my child, without even knowing she existed, is something else entirely. I grip the railing until my knuckles ache. This isn't just about rights or revenge. This is about claiming the piece of my life that was stolen. Whatever reasons Emma had, whatever lies Adrian told, I will get to the bottom of it. And when I do, nothing, not the board, not Adrian, not even Emma's fear, will keep Sophie from knowing her father. I arrive at Cole Enterprises before sunrise. The building feels different at this hour, quieter, stripped of its daily hum. No chatter in the hallways, no ringing phones, just the steady echo of my footsteps on marble. I'm not here for peace. I'm here for an ambush. David texted me last night that Emma had an early prep session for a campaign review. If I'm lucky, I'll get to her before Adrian slithers in to run interference. From the corridor outside the executive lounge, I see her through the glass. She's at the far end of the room, framed by the skyline, hair pulled back, eyes on a stack of printed briefs. The morning light makes her look softer, almost like the woman I remember. But even in this quiet moment, there's distance in her posture. I push the door open. She glances up. Mr. Cole. Her voice is polite, clipped. She doesn't stand. I close the door behind me. We need to talk. Her eyes drop back to the papers. About the campaign. I sent the revised proposal last night. Not the campaign. She stills. It's the smallest pause, but I see it. Then what? I walk to the table, stop across from her. About Sophie. The pen in her hand rolls away, hitting the edge of the folder. She recovers quickly, flipping a page like nothing's happened. My personal life isn't relevant to this company. I'm not asking as your CEO. My voice stays low, deliberate. I'm asking as the man you left 5 years ago without a word. Her gaze lifts, cool and unflinching. You're assuming too much. I'm not assuming anything. I heard you yesterday. I know her name. I know her age. And I know exactly how the math works out. A flicker in her eyes. Quick, almost invisible, but I've always known how to read her tells. This is exactly why, she starts. Why what? Why did you disappear? Why did you decide I wasn't worth telling you that I had a daughter? Her jaw tightens. If I didn't tell you, it's because I had to protect her. From me? Her silence is answer enough. You think I wouldn't protect my own child? Her voice hardens. You live in a world where enemies go for the jugular. You were being ripped apart in the press, your company under siege, and you thought bringing a newborn into that chaos was safe. You decided that for both of us. She pushes her chair back. You made your choices, Ethan. I made mine. Before I can respond, the door opens. Adrian strolls in like he owns the place. Morning, he says brightly, glancing between us. Am I interrupting something? No, Emma says quickly. Yes, I answered at the same time. He smirks, crossing to the coffee bar. Well, don't let me stop you. Though I have to say, this is a hell of a way to start the day, all this intensity. He hands Emma a cup like it's second nature. Cream, no sugar. Right? She takes it without looking at me. Adrian turns his attention to me, leaning against the counter. We're all here for the same reason, Ethan. To move forward. Maybe leave the past where it belongs. I keep my tone even. The past has a way of catching up. Especially when it's standing right in front of you. His smile tightens, but he doesn't drop it. You should try the coffee. Might help you loosen up. I glance at Emma. This isn't over. She meets my eyes for half a second, long enough for me to see the wall she's built between us. For me, it is. I turn and leave before I say something I can't take back. In the hallway, the air feels colder. My pulse is steady now, my thoughts sharper. If she won't admit the truth, I'll pull it into the light myself. No more waiting. David is leaning on the edge of my desk like he owns the place. You're going to the gala tonight, he says, not asking. I keep typing. I have no interest in a room full of donors pretending to care about a cause they can't pronounce. He grins. Emma and Adrian will be there. I stop typing. It's the corporate sponsorship reveal, David continues. Half the press will be in the room. You want to know what they look like outside the office? Tonight's your chance. I lean back in my chair, studying him. And you think this is worth my time? I think, he says, you're not going to learn anything new sitting here, staring at spreadsheets and waiting for someone to slip. The ballroom smells like polished wood, perfume, and money. The kind of scent you can't bottle, you either grow up in it or you buy your way into it. Chandeliers hang low, scattering light across champagne flutes. The string quartet in the corner is playing something soft, familiar, designed to blend into the background. I arrive late enough to be noticed but not late enough to be rude. The photographers outside were relentless. The moment I stepped onto the carpet, flashes burst like artillery fire. Inside, I scan the room. And there they are. Emma's in deep emerald satin, the fabric catching every glint of light. Her hair's swept up, bare shoulders framed by the gown's thin straps. Adrian is in black tie, perfectly tailored, his hand on the small of her back like it's been there forever. They work the room in unison, smiling, shaking hands, exchanging pleasantries like a rehearsed routine. And yet I can see the way Adrian subtly angles himself between her and certain guests. Controlling access. When they reach me, the air shifts. Ethan, Adrian says warmly, as though we're friends. Didn't expect to see you here. I smile just enough to be polite. I wouldn't miss the opportunity to see our sponsorship so well represented. My gaze flicks to Emma. Mr. Cole, she says, her tone perfectly professional. I trust the board updates reached you. They did. I let the pause stretch. You've been busy. Her eyes don't flinch, but I see the subtle tightening at the corner. Adrian sips his champagne. Busy's good. Shows commitment. Especially when the cause is close to the heart. Family values, right? He says it like it's a compliment, but the word family lands heavy between us. Absolutely, I say evenly. Some values are worth fighting for. Emma glances at another guest across the room. If you'll excuse us. Of course. I step aside, but my eyes follow them. Adrian takes the stage 15 minutes later. His speech is smooth, polished, just enough charm to make people forget they're being pitched. When he introduces Emma as an invaluable partner, who's been a constant presence in his professional journey, the phrasing draws a murmur through the crowd. The kind of murmur that will turn into speculation in tomorrow's society columns. I take my phone out, frame the moment when Emma steps down from the stage and walks toward the refreshment table. 2 minutes later, there's a photo on my company's official account, me and Emma in a close conversation, her expression unreadable, the caption, celebrating a shared vision years in the making. It's bait, and I know she'll take it. She finds me on the balcony 20 minutes later, the city spread out below us in glittering lines. Her heels click sharply against the stone floor as she approaches. What the hell was that? I turn slowly, resting one hand on the railing. A reminder. Of what? Her voice is low, furious. That we have a history. That we've built things together. And that no amount of staged smiles with Adrian changes that. Her jaw tightens. You're dragging me into a public tug-of-war. Do you know how unprofessional that makes us both look? Do you know how unprofessional it looks to hide the fact that the CEO and his former wife are connected by something a little more permanent than a few quarterly reports? Her eyes flash. Don't. I'm not the one pretending Sophie doesn't exist. The way she inhales, sharp, like she's swallowing a retort, tells me I've hit the nerve I was aiming for. You don't get to just walk back into my life and start making demands, she says. I'm not asking. For a moment, we just stand there, the night air cool against my face, the faint hum of the gala seeping through the glass doors behind us. She steps back first. Enjoy the rest of your evening, Mr. Cole. I watch her walk away, her posture perfect, her stride unbroken. But I saw it, the crack in her composure, quick but unmistakable. Adrian meets her at the doorway, hand brushing her elbow as he leads her toward the exit. She doesn't look back. I stay on the balcony, the city lights blurring for a moment as the champagne burns its way down my throat. Tonight wasn't about winning. It was about making her remember the ground she's standing on isn't as steady as she thinks. David tosses the printed memo onto my desk like it's a bad hand of cards. Mandatory attendance. Tonight, 7 o'clock, flagship showroom. I glance at the letterhead. It's from the PR department, but the subtext has Adrian's fingerprints all over it. Mandatory for who? I ask. Board members, senior executives, and, David pauses, lowering his voice, they're plus ones. I'm guessing your name got bumped up the list so Adrian can parade Emma in front of you. On his turf. I lean back in my chair, flipping the memo over like I might find a hidden message on the back. Then I guess I should make sure he regrets it. David smirks. That's the Ethan I know. Just remember, cameras don't blink. The flagship showroom looks like a movie set. Polished chrome, floor-to-ceiling LED walls looping glossy promotional videos, glass display cases lit like jewelry exhibits. The crowd's a curated mix of media figures, influencers, high-value clients, and executives. Champagne flows in slender flutes, and waiters weave through the throng with trays of hors d'oeuvres too delicate to have a name. Near the main stage, Emma and Adrian are mid-interview, microphones angled toward their faces. She's in a navy sheath dress with a high neckline, understated but commanding. He's in a charcoal suit, every stitch bespoke, hand resting lightly on the small of her back. Their smiles are almost synchronized. The journalist asks something I can't catch, and Adrian laughs, warm, practiced, before saying, "It's always a privilege to work alongside someone as dedicated as Emma." His gaze flicks sideways, almost daring me to react. I don't. Not yet. I'm cornered by the CFO within minutes, polite corporate chatter filling the space where my thoughts want to wander. But then Adrian's voice cuts through the ambient noise. Well, Ethan Cole, he says as though announcing me to the room. Didn't think you were the product launch type. The surrounding guests turn slightly toward us. Adrian steps closer, his champagne catching the light. Stability, he says, is the cornerstone of leadership. You know that, don't you? I meet his eyes. And so is knowing when to adapt. A few polite chuckles ripple through the group, but Adrian presses on. It's just that, lately, you seem eager to adapt into circles you've ignored for years. I suppose family connections can open certain doors. It's subtle enough to pass as banter, but the implication, that my relevance is tethered to Emma, lands exactly where he wants it. True, I say. But the funny thing about doors is, once they're open, you can walk through them yourself. This time the chuckles are sharper, edged with interest. A couple of phones tilt upward like they're pretending not to record. I break away before the conversation turns into a spectacle. The product display is set up along the far wall, a sleek new line we've been pushing for months. And there's Emma, standing alone, scanning the specs on the screen like she doesn't already know them by heart. I approach, slow enough to give her the choice to walk away. She doesn't. Enjoying the show? I ask. She turns, her expression neutral. It's an important night for the company. You should appreciate that. I appreciate a lot of things, I say. Honesty, for example. Her eyes narrow just a fraction. If this is about Adrian, it's about you, I cut in. You've been backing his moves at every turn, even when you know what it costs me. What it costs us. Her jaw tightens. He's shown more support than you ever did. The words hit harder than I expected. Support? Or control? She shakes her head, looking past me as though the conversation's already over. You never could stand it when someone else was in the spotlight. And then Adrian arrives. Of course. Everything all right here? He asks lightly, slipping an arm around her waist. The gesture isn't possessive in the obvious sense, but it's territorial, and he knows I see it. I look at him, my voice steady. Careful, Adrian. Some things you claim as yours were never up for sale. It's quiet enough that only the three of us hear the exact words, but the posture, the tension, that's what the nearby journalists catch. A murmur starts, a ripple through the crowd like wind over water. Emma pulls slightly away from him. I think this conversation's over. Adrian smiles at me, slow and deliberate. Enjoy the rest of the night, Ethan. I leave before I give either of them the satisfaction of seeing my expression crack. The car's waiting at the curb, city lights streaking against the windows as we pull away. My phone buzzes in my pocket. It's a notification from an account I don't follow, a photo of Emma and Adrian from tonight, standing side by side on stage. The caption reads, "Power couple of the year." The champagne from earlier tastes sour in my throat. This fight isn't in the boardroom anymore. It's in the headlines. And I'm not about to lose. The city outside my apartment window looks like it's holding its breath. Neon signs flicker lazily. The street below is a quiet river of headlights and muffled engines. It's late enough that the noise feels far away, like I'm watching it through thick glass. I'm barefoot on the couch, tie loosened, jacket tossed somewhere near the door. My laptop's balanced on my knees, tabs open to news sites that all seem to have agreed on the same headline template. Flagship triumph, Emma Vance and Adrian Cross dominate product launch. Every picture is the same, her poised, him confident, the two of them side by side under the showroom lights. I scroll until I hit one that makes me pause. It's from the moment just before Adrian approached me. I'm in the background, looking directly at them, face unreadable. Or maybe it's very readable, and that's the problem. The phone rings. At first, I think it's David. He tends to check in after nights like this. But the screen lights up with a name I haven't seen in weeks. Emma. I let it buzz twice, 3 times. My thumb hovers over the green icon. David's voice from earlier hums in my head, "Don't let her pull you back in." It buzzes a 4th time. I answer. "Ethan." Her voice is the same, low, even, like she's talking to me from the kitchen while pouring coffee. But it's past midnight, and she's not in my kitchen anymore. "Emma," I say. I make it sound neutral. I hope I'm not calling too late. "You are." A pause. "I just thought we should talk after tonight." "That's surprising," I say, leaning back into the couch. "You didn't seem that interested in talking at the showroom." I didn't want to make a scene. I almost laughed. "No, you let Adrian do that for you." Her sigh is quiet, clipped. "This isn't about Adrian. This is about us." That word, us, lands like a stone dropped into a still pond. The ripples feel familiar. Us ended 5 years ago, I remind her. "It doesn't have to mean the same thing it did back then," she says. "I called because I don't like the way things ended tonight. I don't like seeing you look at me like what? Like I'm the enemy." I don't say anything right away. She fills the silence. "You've always had this way of assuming the worst when I make decisions without you. But sometimes I have to. Especially in this company." "That's your justification?" I ask. "Aligning yourself with him because you had to?" "I aligned myself with someone who actually shows up," she says, and there's the sting. "When the board was circling, when the investors were threatening to pull out, where were you, Ethan?" I could tell her I was in another city locking down a deal that kept us solvent. I could tell her I was fighting fires she didn't even know about. But the truth is, part of me doesn't want to give her the satisfaction of knowing. Instead, I say, "So Adrian's your savior now?" Her tone tightens. "He's my business partner. And a friend." "How long has he been your friend, Emma? Before or after the divorce papers?" The pause is short, but it's there. "After," she says, crisp, but her voice has a hairline crack in it. I lean forward, elbows on my knees. "You expect me to believe that? I expect you to stop acting like I owe you an explanation for every relationship I have. This one you do." There's a long stretch of nothing but the faint hum of the city through the glass. "I didn't call for this," she says finally. "Then why did you call?" "I don't want this, whatever this public feud is, I don't want it to overshadow my work. I don't want the company to look like it's tearing itself apart because we can't be civil." And there it is, the real reason. "This isn't about us," I say. "It's about your image." "It's about both," she says quickly. "I'm asking you to think about how you come across, Ethan. For once. I let that hang between us, heavy. You still expect me to play my part. Smile when I'm supposed to. Step aside when it makes things easier for you. I expect you to be smart enough to know when a fight isn't worth the cost." I stand, pacing toward the window. The city's still moving, but from up here it looks slow, like I could reach down and rearrange the lights if I wanted to. I'm not following your path, Emma. Not in business, and sure as hell not in life. I'm done letting you decide which pieces of me fit your picture. Her reply is quieter. You're making enemies you can't afford. Maybe, I say. But at least they'll be my enemies, not yours. She doesn't answer right away. When she does, her voice is back to that measured, careful tone. Good night, Ethan. The line clicks dead. I stay by the window, phone still in my hand, screen gone dark. This call should have given me clarity, but all it's really done is burn away the last shadow of hope I didn't know I was still carrying. Whatever Emma and I were, whatever we could have been again, is ash now. Outside, a taxi blurs through the intersection, its light streaking like paint across the wet asphalt. The world doesn't stop our wars. Neither will I. The first thing I notice when I wake is the quiet. Not the comforting kind, but the kind that presses in, like the city itself is holding its breath. The blinds are half open, letting in a dim wash of dawn light, the kind that makes everything look flatter, colder. I slept badly, kept replaying her voice from last night, that calculated softness she slips into when she wants to keep me close enough to use, but far enough to control. I told myself I was past caring. Maybe I even believed it for a few hours. The coffee machine hums to life as I stand barefoot in the kitchen. The smell should be grounding, but it's not. My phone buzzes on the counter. The usual flood, news alerts, stock tickers, pointless newsletters I should unsubscribe from. I swipe them aside, scrolling without focus. And then I see it. A corporate tag. The company's official account has posted a photo from last night's private celebration. The image stops me cold. It's Emma and Adrian. On the rooftop terrace of some exclusive downtown venue, you can tell from the skyline and the candles burning low in hurricane lamps. They're mid-toast, champagne flutes catching the city lights. She's laughing, that open, luminous laugh she used to save for me in the early days. He's leaning in, not quite touching her but close enough that you can see the static between them. Their hands are angled toward each other on the table, just barely apart, like they've rehearsed not touching. The caption reads, "From boardroom battles to shared victories, here's to building the future together. #next chapter. Shared victories. Next chapter." My coffee is still brewing, but the bitter taste is already in my mouth. I tap through to Adrian's personal profile. His page is a gallery of curated charisma, rooftop parties, golf with venture capitalists, shots of him speaking at conferences with captions about vision and drive. And scattered between them, there she is. Not in every frame, not even half, but enough. A blurred reflection in a wine glass here, her hand on a railing there, the hem of a dress I know too well, the black one with the slit up the side, the one she wore the night she told me she needed space. I scroll back months. My stomach tightens. There's a picture from a summer sailing trip. Adrian's in sunglasses, relaxed in a way I've never seen him at the office. And just behind him, out of focus but unmistakable, Emma, hair pulled up, looking out over the water. The comments tell the rest of the story. Little inside jokes, tagged by people from her circle. Friends I thought were mine once. This didn't happen overnight. It didn't even happen in the last few weeks. This has been unfolding for months, maybe longer. And all the while she let me believe, or maybe I let myself believe, that her choices were purely strategic. The coffee machine beeps. I don't drink it. Instead, I grab my coat and head out into the morning air. The city's just waking, delivery trucks at loading bays, street cleaners hosing down the gutters. I text David. Me, coffee? Now. He replies before I've walked a block. David, meet me at Corner Bean. The Corner Bean smells like roasted hazelnut and burnt ambition. David's already there, tapping his fingers on a ceramic mug, scanning his phone. When he looks up, his eyes narrow in that way he gets when he knows I'm about to drop something ugly on him. What happened? He asks before I sit down. I slide my phone across the table, open to the rooftop photo. He studies it for all of 2 seconds. Well, that's bold. It's deliberate, I say. That caption. She might as well have tagged me in it with a middle finger emoji. David leans back. You really think this is the first move? I shake my head. No. It's the first public move. The rest has been going on for a while. Look at this. I scroll back through Adrian's profile, pointing out the blurred cameos, the casual mentions. She's been in his orbit long before she admitted anything. Probably before she'd even decided how she was going to use him against me. David watches me carefully. You gonna call her out? I laugh, a short, humorless sound. And give her exactly what she wants. No. I'm not playing that game in her arena. Good, he says. Because public blow-ups? They only feed the narrative she's building. You want control back, you keep it quiet. Move on your own terms. I nod, though my jaw's tight. That's the thing, I think I finally want to. Move on, I mean. For real this time. David's expression softens. About time. When I get back to my apartment, I open my own social media accounts. It's mechanical at first, unfollowing her, then Adrian, then the people who've become satellites in their little system. But after a few minutes, it starts to feel lighter. Like I'm peeling away the last layers of skin I've outgrown. I scroll through my photos until I hit the last one of us together. It's from a fundraiser, a month before everything imploded. She's in a deep blue dress, I'm in black tie. We're smiling, but my hand's in my pocket, not on her back. Even then, I guess I knew. I hover over the delete button for a long time. My thumb presses down. The image vanishes. That night, the city outside is alive again, sirens, laughter, music spilling from open windows. I sit at my desk with a blank notebook, not the laptop. No company logos, no press releases, no board votes. Just a clean page. I start writing. Not about her, or him, but about what comes next. The projects I've been putting off. The people I want to bring into my circle. The moves I can make without having to look over my shoulder for her approval or his interference. The list grows. So does the feeling in my chest, not the hollow ache I've been carrying, but something sharper. Energy. By midnight, I've filled 5 pages. And for the first time in months, I'm not thinking about what I've lost. I'm thinking about what I'm about to build. The city is already awake when I arrive at my office, but it's a different kind of morning. Not the panicked rush to beat deadlines. Not the tense quiet before a board meeting. This is the first day I've decided, really decided, that I'm done letting Emma's shadow dictate the shape of my life. The skyline outside my floor-to-ceiling windows looks clean, almost surgically precise, each tower catching the orange line of sunrise. It feels like a skyline I could paint over, rearrange at will. My desk is a map of endings and beginnings. Files stacked for transfer, a pair of cardboard boxes leaning against the credenza, the half-packed bookshelf. I told David last night, tomorrow, I'll cut the cord. He'd said nothing, just handed me a whiskey and let the silence be enough. Today, the cord is in my hands. I open my laptop, pull up the internal system, and start typing. It's not dramatic, no grand resignation letter, no manifesto. Just a short, crisp memo addressed to the project leads. Effective immediately, I will be withdrawing my direct involvement from the Horizon Expansion Initiative. All current commitments under my name will be redirected to Project Meridian under an independent leadership structure. Thank you for your dedication and your trust. Ethan Cross. It's clinical, almost bloodless in tone. But I know every sentence carries weight. Horizon was our thing, Emma and mine, pitched together at a board retreat years ago, one of the few things that had survived the divorce intact. Pulling out now isn't just professional divergence. It's me taking my name back. I hit send. No hesitation. The fallout starts almost immediately. My assistant knocks, holding her tablet like it's about to bite her. People are asking questions. I nod, motioning for her to sit. Tell them it's a strategic shift. That's all they need to know. She hesitates, loyal, but worried. They're going to assume this is about her. It's not, I lie smoothly. David appears at my door a few minutes later, coffee in hand. Well, he says, dropping into the chair opposite me, I see you've decided to light the fuse. I didn't light it, I say. She died months ago. I'm just letting the detonation happen on my terms. He raises a brow. Then brace yourself. She's going to take this personally. And loudly. By noon, the building feels different. Conversations pause when I pass. Doors close faster. That's fine, let them wonder. I'm heading to the elevator when I hear her voice. Ethan. Emma stands at the far end of the lobby, flanked by the steel and glass geometry of the space, wearing a charcoal suit sharp enough to cut skin. She walks toward me like she owns the floor, which, technically, she still does. I just heard from the Horizon team, she says, voice clipped. Tell me you didn't blindside them with this withdrawal. I gave notice this morning, I replied. Plenty of time for a transition. Her eyes narrow. Plenty of time. We built Horizon together. And now you're just walking away. This isn't just about business, you're undermining the shared vision we fought for. I'm not here to fight over what's yours or mine anymore, I say, keeping my voice level. I'm building what's mine from the ground up. She laughs, sharp, incredulous. With what? Some boutique little side project downtown. You think you can compete with this machine? I hit the elevator button. I'm not competing, Emma. I'm leaving the race. That flicker in her eyes. Half anger, half something that might be fear, is the first real crack I've seen in weeks. She steps closer, lowering her voice. You have no idea what you're walking into. Adrian's network runs deeper than you think. If you make yourself an enemy, you'll regret it. The elevator doors open. I step inside. Maybe. But I'd regret staying a hell of a lot more. Back in my office, I close the door and start the purge. The framed photo from that first product launch, gone. The Mont Blanc pen she'd given me for our anniversary, into the bottom of the box. The ceramic paperweight our daughter made in kindergarten, no, that stays. She made it for me, not for us. It's strange, packing these things doesn't feel like mourning. It feels like reclaiming square footage in my own life. By late afternoon, I'd arranged for a smaller space downtown, a glass front office above a co-working hub, near the river. Not as grand, but flexible, quick to pivot. My kind of place now. That night, I took a shot of the city skyline from my balcony. The towers glow in cold blues and warm ambers, a map of possibility. I posted it to my private account with the caption, New Chapter. Building forward. Within minutes, comments roll in, some supportive, some curious. No word from Emma. But Adrian posts a photo of a champagne glass with the caption, to clear the field. David texts me, guess they got the message. Around midnight, I stand on the rooftop of my new building, wind tugging at my coat. The city hums below, alive, indifferent. My phone buzzes. Emma. I let it ring. Then I put it in my pocket without even checking the voicemail. For the first time in a long while, I don't feel the urge to answer. Just the urge to build. The elevator in my new building doesn't hum like the one uptown. It rattles. It smells faintly of coffee and fresh paint, and when the doors open, the first thing I hear isn't the click of polished shoes or the controlled murmur of corporate voices, it's laughter. Someone down the hall is playing guitar. I step out, 2 boxes in my arms. This is all I'm bringing. Years of accumulation in the old office have been boiled down to the essentials, a few files, my laptop, a framed photo of Sophie, and a battered leather notebook I've carried since my 20s. Everything else, the awards, the glossy launch photos, the ceremonial tokens of past wins, can stay where they are. The hallway opens into a wide loft space, all exposed brick and tall windows that let in the kind of light I'd almost forgotten existed. The air smells faintly of sawdust and roasted beans from the cafe downstairs. Desks are scattered, not aligned into neat corporate rows but pulled into clusters that seem to form and dissolve depending on the day's mood. I'm greeted by the building manager, a guy in his 40s named Callum who wears jeans and an untucked shirt like a declaration of independence. Ethan Cross, he asks, shaking my hand. Got you set up in the corner suite. It's not much of a suite, but it's got the best view in the building. He's right. The space is just big enough for a desk, 2 chairs, and a small shelf, but the window frames the river like a painting. Sunlight dances off the surface, making it look like molten silver. I set the boxes down and just stand there for a moment, breathing it in. No glass partitions. No branded carpets. No invisible weight pressing on my shoulders. By 9:30, I've unpacked. The photo of Sophie sits front and center, angled so I see her smile every time I look up. The leather notebook rests on the desk, open to a fresh page. There's a freedom in starting over, not erasing the past, but refusing to let it be the blueprint for the future. David arrives mid-morning, carrying 2 coffees. He looks around with an approving nod. Not bad, he says. You've traded the skyscraper for a startup vibe. Feels better, I say, taking the coffee. No more marble floors. I can hear my own footsteps echoing on. Are you sure you're ready for this pace? He asks. It's different out here. No army of interns. No safety net. That's the point, I tell him. When David leaves to make some calls, I lean back in my chair and let my eyes drift to the water outside. The current is steady, unhurried. Sophie's face comes to mind, the way she clutches my hand when she's unsure about something, the way her eyes light up when she's proud. This isn't about competing with Emma anymore. It's about creating something Sophie can look at years from now and know, Dad built this. Not for power. Not for control. For us. For me. The ache of what happened, Emma's betrayal, Adrian's smirk across the boardroom table, it's still there. But it's duller now, like a bruise fading under new skin. At lunch, I scroll through my phone while eating a sandwich from the cafe downstairs. Emma's face dominates my feed, she and Adrian at a black tie gala, the two of them framed by a glittering stage backdrop. There's a caption, celebrating the future of Horizon with the city's finest. Another post shows the Horizon logo splashed across a skyscraper-sized projection. The comments are a stream of applause emojis, champagne glasses, and corporate sycophancy. I don't feel the sting I expected. Just clarity. They're building their empire. I'm building mine. At 2 o'clock, David knocks and waves at two people, a young woman in a blazer too big for her shoulders and a man with ink-stained fingers. They run a design startup, brilliant on the creative side but hemorrhaging money because no one ever taught them how to scale. We sit around my desk, sketching ideas on scrap paper, drawing diagrams in the air. I listen more than I talk, not because I have nothing to say but because they're giving me the raw material I need to shape something that's theirs, not mine. By the time they leave, they're smiling like someone finally handed them a map out of a maze. We'll get you a draft contract by Friday, the woman says. When the door closes, I realize I'm smiling too. The kind of smile that comes from solving a puzzle, not from outmaneuvering an opponent. As the sun starts to dip, I take a walk along the river. The air is cooler here, salted faintly by the wind that whips off the water. I lean against the railing and watch the current. It's not racing. It's not fighting. It's just moving forward. For the first time in years, I feel like I'm doing the same. Back in the office, I turn off the lights and take one last look at the space. It's quiet now, shadows stretching across the floorboards. My phone buzzes as I'm locking the door. An unfamiliar number. I hear you're building something worth watching. No name. No emoji. Just that. I stand there in the hallway, the words echoing in my head. It could be a client. It could be a warning. It could be the first thread of something bigger than I can see right now. Either way, I smile. The war with Emma isn't over, maybe it never will be, but for the first time, I'm not fighting on her battlefield. I'm standing on my own ground. And tomorrow, I will start laying the bricks. The gallery smells faintly of polished wood, chilled wine, and something floral I can't name. Light spills and warm halos from overhead fixtures, sliding over sculptures and canvases until it pools on the black lacquered floor. Outside, the river is a dark ribbon under the city lights, moving slow but steady, the kind of movement that doesn't look dramatic until you realize it's relentless. I adjust my jacket sleeve and follow David through the crowd. My pulse is calm. Tonight isn't about nostalgia, and it's sure as hell not about Emma. It's about securing funding. My project is lean, ambitious, and 2 months from needing serious capital. David murmurs, corner table near the balcony. Prime spot. Just play the game for an hour. I smile. Since when do I not play the game? He smirks. Since you stopped letting the dealer stack the deck. We weave between clusters of art patrons and business leaders, past a steel sculpture twisted into an elegant spiral. A woman in emerald silk catches my arm briefly to compliment my watch. A handshake here, a polite nod there, it's the kind of social terrain I know like muscle memory. But underneath the practiced charm, I feel the hum of my new reality. No corporate tower, no gold-plated title, no Emma breathing down my neck. Just me, my vision, and a room full of possibilities. And then I see her. Emma. She's standing across the gallery under a massive oil painting, her profile lit like a portrait. Her hair is swept into an elegant knot, the same way it was the night we signed Horizon's first major deal. That memory should sting. It doesn't, at least, not the same way. It's more like pressing on a bruise that's almost healed, dull, but still there. She's wearing black satin, simple but cut so precisely it might as well be armor. And beside her, Adrian. Perfect posture, perfectly smug. His hand hovers near the small of her back, the gesture of a man who wants the room to know exactly where she belongs. They haven't seen me yet. I could turn away. The balcony's right there, and I could lose myself in the skyline until my investor arrives. But instead, I take another step forward. Her eyes find mine. It's like the gallery goes quiet, even though the hum of conversation and the soft string quartet in the corner don't falter. Just 1 second of pure recognition, stripped of every polite mask. Then the expressions snap back into place, hers cool, mine steady. Adrian notices. "Ethan," Emma says first, her tone a careful blend of surprise and composure. "It's been a while." "Long enough," I reply. Adrian's smile doesn't touch his eyes. "I heard you've gone, boutique." "I've gone independent," I say. "Freedom suits me." Before anything sharper can pass between us, a mutual acquaintance, Victor Hammond, swoops in like a host trying to merge two rival tables. "Ethan, Emma, I didn't realize you two hadn't caught up." "And Adrian, of course. You all must know each other from the old days at Horizon." Old days. As if those scars were sepia-toned photographs in a dusty album. Victor keeps talking, somehow corralling us into the same conversational orbit. Adrian leans an elbow casually against the cocktail table. "So what's next for you, Ethan?" I imagine it's quite an adjustment, operating without Horizon's infrastructure. "It's an opportunity," I say, keeping my tone even. "Lean, agile, and not weighed down by bureaucracy." Emma tilts her head slightly, the way she used to when testing a weak spot in negotiations. "But you always thrived under high stakes and scale. Are you sure this smaller stage won't feel limiting?" I catch David's glance from across the room, a silent reminder not to let the bait pull me in. "I didn't leave the stage," I told her. "I chose a better audience." Her lips twitch, a micro-expression most people wouldn't notice. But I've spent years reading that face in boardrooms and bedrooms alike. She didn't expect me to have an answer that didn't sound defensive. Victor, oblivious to the undercurrents, shifts the topic to the charity's cause. I let the others carry the conversation, offering short, cordial responses when needed. My focus is already drifting to the investor standing near the balcony doors, scanning the room like he's ready to leave. Emma catches me looking. "Always working the angles," she says lightly. "Always," I agree. And then I step back, excusing myself with a polite nod. The air on the balcony is cool against my face, a relief after the subtle heat of the gallery. My potential investor, Lena McCarthy, is waiting by the railing, drink in hand. We talk for 15 minutes, the city lights spilling across her glasses, the conversation sharp and efficient. She leaves me with a promise to review my proposal by Friday. When I turn back toward the room, I catch sight of Emma through the glass. She's watching me, her expression unreadable. Curiosity, maybe. Calculation. Regret? It doesn't matter. I take one last look at the river before heading for the exit. Tonight wasn't about her, and for the first time in a long time, I actually believe that. The rain starts before I notice the clouds. Just a faint patter on the fire escape outside my office window, a sound I've learned to tune out since moving here. This apartment isn't big enough for echoes, but on quiet evenings, it feels bigger than my old penthouse ever did, less like a monument and more like a space that breathes with me. The desk is littered with spreadsheets and notes. My laptop hums softly as I scroll through projected burn rates and potential investor returns. Numbers, clean and unambiguous, have a way of keeping the rest of the world at bay. Then my phone lights up. The name on the screen freezes me. Emma. 2 syllables that still feel heavier than they should. I lean back in my chair, watching it vibrate silently for a beat before the ring kicks in. The sound fills the apartment in a way that's almost accusatory. I could let it go to voicemail. Pretend I'm busy. Which I am. But I've played that avoidance game before, and it's always left me wondering what ammunition she's gathering on the other end. I swipe to answer. "Ethan," she says, and her voice is softer than I remember. Not the clipped efficiency of the boardroom, not the warm purr she used to use when she wanted something personal. This is a strained middle ground. "We need to talk." I glance at the rain streaking the glass. About us," she says, then, almost tripping over herself, "and some things at Horizon." There it is. I didn't know there was still an us, I say. That's exactly the problem. We left too many things unfinished. She exhales, the sound tight. I think it would be good to clear the air. And maybe, we could help each other. I push my chair back and walk to the small kitchen. The rain's picked up, tapping harder against the metal outside. Help each other, I repeat. Yes. I know you've moved on. But the market hasn't forgotten you. And there are currents shifting. Adrian, she stops, corrects herself. Let's just say leadership is being tested. I thought you'd want to know before rumors reach you some other way. The corners of my mouth twitch. She's dangling information like bait, just enough to make me lean closer. I stay leaning back. I appreciate the heads up, I say. But I'm not exactly in the rumor business these days. Silence stretches. I can hear her breathing, steady, but calculated. This isn't about business, she says finally. Not entirely. She hesitates, as though choosing a vulnerability from a shelf. I miss the way we used to work together. We were unbeatable, Ethan. I pour water into a glass, letting the sound interrupt her rhythm. And yet, here we are. I made mistakes. Her tone sharpens, like she's pushing through a door she doesn't want to open. We both did. But we don't have to burn everything. Before I can respond, my phone buzzes again, a new call coming in. The screen flashes Lila, video call. My daughter. I have to take this, I tell Emma. A pause. Oh. She covers it quickly. Sure. I switch lines, and Lila's face fills the screen. Her hair's in a messy ponytail, a smudge of paint on her cheek. Dad. I need help with my science project. Can I show you? The shift in my voice is instinctive. Of course. Show me what you've got. She tilts the camera toward a model volcano on her kitchen counter. The thing is lopsided but covered in glitter, which I'm pretty sure wasn't part of the original geological plan. It's going to erupt, she says proudly. But I think the baking soda's clumping. We spend 5 minutes adjusting her measurements, talking about the right mix. She laughs when I mimic an explosion sound effect, and for a moment, the rain and the spreadsheets and Emma's voice don't exist. When we hang up, I feel the quiet in my apartment settle differently, not heavy, but grounded. I switch back to Emma's call. Are you still there? I ask. Yes, she says, but there's a new note in her voice. She must have heard enough of that other conversation to know it wasn't about work. I've got priorities now, I tell her. Different ones. Horizon, whatever's happening there, it's not my battlefield anymore. Her composure slips just enough for me to hear the edge. You think you can just walk away from everything we built? From the influence we had? I already did. Ethan, she shifts tactics, her tone softening again. The city's small. People talk. They're going to question your independence, your stability. I laugh, and it's not mocking, just, done. Emma, let them talk. My work speaks for itself. And I'm not interested in proving myself to people who measure worth by whose shadow they stand in. A beat of silence. Then, so that's it. That's it. She exhales sharply. You've changed. I glance toward the rain-blurred skyline outside my balcony door. Yeah. I have. I end the call before she can reply. Stepping outside, the rain hits my face in cool needles, the air thick with that electric scent just before a storm breaks fully. Down below, headlights smear into amber streaks on the wet street. The city moves on, unaware, indifferent. And for the first time, the fracture between Emma and me doesn't feel like a wound, it feels like a border. One I have no intention of crossing again. The invitation lands in my inbox mid-morning, hidden between quarterly earnings reports and an email about building maintenance. Founders Circle, private networking dinner, invitation only. I've heard of these gatherings. They're less about schmoozing and more about aligning power. The kind of people who could pick up the phone and get a law changed if it suited them. A younger version of me would have jumped at the chance for purely strategic reasons. This time, it feels different. Not a ladder to climb, but a place to stand without anyone else holding the rung. I RSVP before I can overthink it. The rest of the day slides into that satisfying rhythm I've been chasing for months, calls with suppliers who actually answer, a lunch meeting with a local nonprofit about a pro bono project, reviewing prototypes without a single whispered comparison to the old days. At 4 p.m., my phone buzzes. Emma again. I let it ring. She tries once more. Then a third time. By the fourth attempt, my assistant messages me. Emma called the office line. Said it's urgent. I reply. Tell her I'm unavailable today. Indefinitely. It feels like flipping a switch, not the dramatic snap of cutting power, but the quiet decision to stop paying the bill. The dinner is at a rooftop restaurant downtown, the kind of place that seems engineered for magazine spreads, glass walls, warm lighting, skyline glittering just beyond the tables. The guest list is small, maybe 24 people, and every handshake feels like meeting someone whose name could unlock a door somewhere. I end up seated next to a woman named Ana Morales. She's the founder of a renewable energy startup that's been making headlines for all the right reasons. She's sharp, dry-humored, and refreshingly uninterested in who I used to be connected to. We talk about everything from distribution bottlenecks to which city has the best street food. Halfway through the main course, my phone vibrates against the table. I glance at the screen. Emma. Anna notices. Someone persistent. Someone in the past, I say, silencing the call without hesitation. Her smile is small but knowing. Then they can wait. When I get home, there are 3 voicemails waiting. I don't listen to them. The act of not pressing play feels more final than any confrontation could. Instead, I draft an email. Short. Professional. Emma. I believe it's best for both of us if we cease direct communication. Please route any necessary business matters through counsel. Ethan asterisk. I send it before I can water it down. The next morning, my phone is quiet. No missed calls. No messages. In their place, a sense of space I didn't realize I'd been missing. By afternoon, Anna has sent me a link to a charity auction she's organizing. Thought you might be interested, her note reads. I click through the details and find myself smiling, not because it's a power move, not because it positions me strategically, but because I want to be there. It strikes me then, Emma's world ran on constant motion, constant pressure. My new one runs on choice. And I choose to stay here. The hall is alive before the first guests even arrive. Light pours through floor-to-ceiling glass, scattering across white linen tables set with neat rows of bidding paddles. Beyond the glass, the ocean glints like it's been polished for the occasion. Anna's everywhere at once, adjusting the seating chart, double-checking the sound system, smoothing the curve of a tablecloth that didn't quite fall right. You're early, she says when she notices me hauling in 2 boxes of wine bottles from my trunk. I'm useful, I correct, setting them down by the bar. She grins. We'll see. Can you handle fragile items without breaking them? Depends. How expensive are we talking? She laughs, the sound is easy and uncalculated. The kind of laugh I didn't realize I missed until recently. By noon, the auction is in full swing. Sunlight blazes across polished floors, voices bounce in warm waves, and the scent of fresh-cut flowers mingles with the briny air drifting in from the open terrace doors. People I've only met through headlines and LinkedIn profiles approach me with handshakes that don't have the calculating weight I've come to expect. They talk about my new logistics network, about the nonprofit outreach we've been piloting. No one asks about Horizon. No one mentions Emma. Anna moves through the crowd with the kind of authority that doesn't demand attention, it earns it. At one point, she slides next to me while the auctioneer is working through a lot of handcrafted furniture. I've been thinking, she says quietly, what if we built a supply chain specifically for renewable energy equipment? Solar panels, turbine parts, battery components. My team could handle sourcing, yours could handle distribution. Clean tech from the ground up. I watch the way her mind works even as she speaks, her focus isn't on what's flashy, but on what can last. I'd be in, I say simply. And I mean it. The next item up is a framed photograph. A sunrise spilling over the harbor, the colors almost too vivid to believe. I feel something shift in my chest as I look at it. When the bidding starts, I lift my paddle without hesitation. Anna leans in. Careful, you'll overpay for sentiment. Maybe sentiment's worth it. It comes down to me and a man in the back row who seems determined to outbid me out of sheer principle. I don't stop until the gavel falls in my favor. The photograph is mine. Definitely overpaid, Anna teases. Worth every cent, I reply, and I don't take my eyes off the image. The sunrise isn't just a sunrise. It's a reminder, I'm not standing in the dark anymore. It's near the end of the event, when people are collecting coats and murmuring about after-parties, that I see her. Emma. She doesn't belong here, and she knows it. Her expression is calm, but I can see the hairline fractures in her composure, the faint tremor in her fingers, the too precise placement of her smile. She waits until I've stepped away from Anna to approach. Ethan. I don't flinch. Emma. I was hoping we could talk. I almost laughed. Hoping. No, Emma doesn't hope. She decides. But not anymore. We can talk here, I say, making no move to take her aside. She glances toward the terrace, clearly unwilling to play this out in full view. Against my better judgment, I follow her to a quiet corner by the glass doors. Her voice is softer than I remember, but no less deliberate. I made a mistake with Adrian. I see that now. I thought we could build something stronger, but I underestimated what we had. I don't just mean us, I mean the empire we could have. Emma. Let me finish, she says quickly. I know we've hurt each other. But I believe we could rebuild. Not go back, move forward, together. There's a deal on the table that could. Stop. She does. Her eyes search my face for some flicker of the man she once could bend with a single sentence. Emma, I say quietly, we're not in the same story anymore. Her breath catches. I'm not angry, I add. Not anymore. But I'm not coming back. And whatever you're here to offer, keep it. The mask slips, just enough for me to see the desperation underneath. You really think you're better off without me? I know I am. She exhales like the air's been punched out of her. But I don't move, don't reach for her, don't soften the edges. She's the one who walks away. When I return to the main hall, Anna's near the coat check, chatting with one of the volunteers. She spots me and tilts her head. You okay? Yeah. I mean it. Ready to get some air. We step out onto the waterfront. The sky's beginning to bruise into twilight, but there's still a gold ribbon along the horizon. The water reflects it in shivering streaks. I tell Anna about the photograph I won, and she laughs again, that same unguarded sound. Sunrise guy, huh? Guess so. We walk in easy silence for a while, the kind of silence that doesn't need to be filled. The city glows behind us, the ocean stretches endlessly ahead. And for the first time in years, I realize, I'm not looking back anymore. The photograph hangs on the far wall of my office, angled so the morning light catches it first. Every sunrise since I brought it home, I've found my eyes drifting toward it, not to measure the colors against the real thing, but to remember the exact moment I chose it. It was never about the harbor. It was about claiming something simply because it felt right. 6 months have passed since the auction. The new renewable energy supply chain is more than a concept now, it's trucks on the road, shipments in transit, contracts signed with communities that most corporations write off as unprofitable. Anna and I split the work without friction, she drives innovation, I handle the infrastructure. This morning, we're reviewing the expansion plan over coffee in a sunlit cafe near the docks. You ever think about how fast this all happened? She asks, tapping her pen against the margin of her notes. Fast, yeah. But don't rush. She smiles. Good difference. Later that day, I walked the pier alone, my phone buzzing every few minutes with updates. One of them is from David, a short message, just a link to a social post. I almost don't open it, but curiosity wins. It's a photograph, not mine. Emma, standing at a podium in some smaller conference room, talking about a new, strategic vision for Horizon. The caption is bland corporate PR, but I can read between the lines, she's still trying to resurrect what she lost. The picture doesn't sting. It's just, distant. Like seeing the house you used to live in on a rainy day. You recognize the shape, but you don't feel the pull to go inside. I put the phone away without replying. That evening, Anna and I met at the marina. She's brought 2 coffees in takeaway cups, and I've brought the old camera my father used to own. I didn't know you were into photography, she says as I check the settings. I wasn't. Until recently. We sit on the edge of the dock, legs dangling over the water, the sun lowering behind us. The waves lap against the pilings in a slow, even rhythm. I take a few shots, her laughing at something I said, the gulls hovering in the salt wind, the flare of light across the lens. You're good, she says after glancing at the camera screen. Beginner's luck. There's a pause, one that feels deliberate. Do you think you'll ever talk to her again? She doesn't need to name Emma. I don't think about it, I say honestly. That chapter's closed. Anna nods, and we don't say more. Weeks later, on the morning of our first joint facility opening, I stood before a ribbon strung across a set of polished steel doors. The local press is here, a few dignitaries, and a scattering of residents whose jobs will be tied to this building. Anna steps forward to speak first. She talks about clean energy and sustainable networks, about local hiring and environmental accountability. Her words land because they're real. When it's my turn, I keep it simple. This project, I tell them, isn't just about power. It's about possibility. About the fact that the next sunrise can look different from the last, if you choose it. That night, after the crowd has gone and the last truck has pulled away, I find myself in my office again. The harbor photograph catches the fading daylight, the colors warming as the sun drops. I take my father's camera from the shelf and set it beside the frame. 2 symbols, one of what I've built, one of what I've carried forward. The phone buzzes once on my desk. A number I know but haven't saved. I don't open it. I don't need to. Outside, the first stars are coming out. The air smells faintly of salt and possibility. I turn off the light, leaving the photograph to catch the last glow of the evening. Tomorrow there will be another sunrise, not because I chase it, but because I'm already standing where it rises. That's the end of Ethan's arc. Emma is firmly in the past, his purpose is rooted in his own vision, and the symbolic light carries the closing beat.